Hey folks, hope you enjoyed the podcast. This free teaser of the main episode features 10 posts, but you can get the full episode with an additional 20 posts, plus our witty banter and all that good stuff, plus fun segments like MGTOW and This Ain't It Chief, plus a preview of next week's episode, only over at patreon.com/reportthispost. Not only that, but there's an additional bonus episode every week for our beautiful patrons and other fun stuff, all available at patreon.com/reportthispost. Help support the show. It'll do a lot for us. It'll make us feel better about spending all of our goddamn free time looking up posts for your guys' amusement. And enjoy the show. Hello, everyone, and welcome to episode 145 of Report This Post, a podcast about bad posts and bad people. My name is Geiger, and that is Christian.
How come the puck's black, but all the guys playing are white?
And we are your hosts with the posts. Every week, Christian, myself, or a listener select a different topic, and then find horrible posts for your listening pleasure. And this week's topic, as chosen by listener Joey, is what, Christian?
Hockey.
Hockey, that's right.
America's pastime.
the famous sport that Americans famously tune in to the finals with the same viewership as an old episode of Little House on the Prairie. And yet Canadians, those absolute freaks up north, they lose their minds over.
On the daily, yeah, that's right.
Yeah, it's because they don't got a whole lot going on, but they do have ice, and they figured out a way to monetize their ice with big giants, 6'5" guys with beards that love to slam their bodies into other gentlemen.
They can move so fast and so gracefully, and also just completely dislocate somebody's jaw with one punch. So. They love them for it.
They love to lose teeth. They love to break bones. They love to score 2 or 3 goals a night. Barely more than that. That's right, folks. Hockey, the NHL is the big one here. And as we are recording this, our local team, our beloved Tampa Bay Lightning, they are in the conference finals. They are up 1-0 on the dreadful New York Islanders. And if the Lightning win, they will be going to the Stanley Cup Finals, which they famously went to last year and won. We're world champions. So we, of course, here at Report This Post Nation are rooting hard for our Bolts, our boys in blue, as we call them. We bleed blue over here.
The thin blue line on the ice.
Blue lives matter here in Tampa Bay.
Yeah.
We're so excited for them. But again, thanks to Joey, who chose hockey. We're assuming Joey is some sort of northerner. Is he from Minnesota or one of those fucking states or something like that?
I could probably look it up on Patreon and completely dox the guy, but I'm not going to.
Just go ahead and read his address so we can really get a good idea where this guy's from.
His phone number is.
Yeah. So Joey, thanks again. Hockey's a great topic. We had a lot of fun with this, looking into this one because it's a pretty wide range of different ideas and different thoughts. Most of them seem to be around racism and homophobia, which is kind of where a lot of our topics seem to go. So
the old famous spread we get. Yep.
Yeah, and that's we're having a lot of fun with that. I think one of the fun things we're going to talk about is a general Canadian thoughts on hockey.
Sure.
It's weird how when you think Canada, you think what? You think a leaf? You think maple syrup? You think
syrup.
Hockey.
The Mounties, yeah.
And that's pretty much it.
Niagara Falls.
Well, even that's half American.
Fair enough.
They don't even have that.
Buffalo is basically Canada anyway, so.
That's, what's the difference?
They got the wings, baby.
Yeah, once you're like wings. North of, I don't know, Nashville, you might as well just be Canada.
That's okay. Just the complete upper northern half of the United States is Canada.
That's right.
Actually, you know what? You're not wrong. You're not wrong. So.
Yeah, the Midwest especially is just like fatter Canada with worse accents somehow.
Really good. Yeah. Not a hockey guy. You said you tune in every once in a while, right?
I tune in specifically when the Lightning are about to win a championship, and I can pretend that I was,
that you supported them throughout the entire run.
I mean, I'm never not rooting for them, but I'm also I don't watch TV in general, so if they're on, I'm like, oh, I'm just not going to watch them, but I'm hoping they win. And then when they're in the actual, like, just about to be champions, I'm like, okay, I'll tune in so I can see how it is, because it's cool to watch a team win a championship.
Sure.
But yeah, so I'm considered a wildly bandwagon fan, and that's fine.
Fair weather, sure. Yeah, hockey's the only sport I enjoy going to the games because they're relatively short and they are very fast paced and there's not a lot of filler. So enjoy that. The only thing I don't like is the $14 beers. And for some reason, I don't know if you have been to a hockey game here recently, but they make you buy two at once, which just seems strange.
Yeah, so. I last time I went to a Lightning game, I was stunned at the prices, and then I looked up afterwards, and I found out that the Lightning have like some of the most expensive concessions in like professional sports.
It's insane. It's insane.
You'll spend $50 on just let me just do a quick trip to grab a couple drinks and maybe a hot dog, and you're $50 in.
Let me get 6 nachos and two flat tire, and $48 later, I'll be back. So, unless they're playing, and then you can't go back to your seat, which is also a fun little caveat with hockey. So,
well, you said you like it because it's relatively short, and obviously that describes yourself as well. So why don't we just go ahead and get started with the post?
A throwaway account posted this to our relationship advice. My 16-year-old daughter's hockey teammate is gay, and my wife wants to stop her hockey lessons. My wife and I raised our daughter to understand a marriage can only exist between man and woman in our country, but laws have changed since. I do not hate homos. I do not like homos. I just ignore them. My daughter told us today after her hockey session and told us about that her teammate is gay. I said, all right, but my wife was fuming, telling her it's the last session and she will not talk to her again, saying it was unsafe to speak to her or be in the changing room with her. The girls get changed together, eat together after practice and games, and often get car lifts together. This is normal social stuff. I don't think being friends with a homo will make my daughter a homo. She just needs to ignore and play hockey. I'm not sure if my wife is overreacting. Are girls this close? Is there a risk of my daughter learning about the wrong type of relationships? How can I let her go to hockey with a reinforced understanding of what is normal and what is not? Crystal787 replied, hopefully her teammate will prove to be a better role model to her than you and your wife. And Claude added, you're a raging homophobic asshole and you're not going to get any support here.
That's right. The closed-minded folks at Reddit will not listen to a good Christian man's argument. This guy is, I appreciate his whole, like,
look,
homos are, they're not my favorite, granted, but I also don't hate them. And he's kind of proved that with, like, his daughter's like, yeah, there's some fish-eating girl on my team and what do I do about that? And he's like, whatever, I don't give a shit. That's pretty gross, but I don't care. And then his wife, like, good heavens.
Yeah, my daughter's going to catch a gay from this gal.
That's how it happens.
That is, yeah. It's an airborne illness, is what I understand.
Yeah.
This guy's obviously stout, muscular daughter that he's worried about becoming a lesbian. Yeah.
Yeah, his daughter that's 110% gay already and will be even gayer once this whole thing comes to pass. Yeah.
Yeah.
That's just
she's loved hockey since she could walk. She's been holding that stick, and yeah. Well, good luck to all of that. Hope your daughter doesn't become a homo.
Mm-hmm. We're praying for you here. The official report this post prayer of the week goes to that guy's homo adjacent daughter. We hope she makes it through to God's will. Well, speaking of all that stuff, 5 years ago, the NHL announced that it was investigating rumors of a player that was repeatedly using a homophobic slur on the ice against his opponents. And a gentleman on the subreddit r/hockey responded to this news with this. It's not homophobia. It's not a fear of gay people to call someone who is not gay a faggot. Faggot is used less than 10% of the time in reference to an actual gay person. You ever see that South Park episode with the bikers? Sums it up accurately. Now, I'm not sure what episode he's talking about, but rarely is it a good defense. Like, remember that South Park episode about this topic?
To reference, yeah, to reference South Park in support of your argument, for sure.
Uh-huh.
I gotta say, though, that the logic is probably solid on that the less than 10% of the time it's in reference to an actual gay person.
I would love to see the science on that, how that math was come up with, by the way.
Chart, yeah.
Not even that I don't even necessarily disagree with it, but how do you come up with that number?
Guy just says a slur into a test tube and he's like running it through a bunch of beakers and stuff. Under the microscope. Yep, just what I thought.
Just him screaming the word at an amoeba and seeing what happens.
Divided and had sex with itself. Interesting. I'm going to make note of this. Boy. Yeah. This South Park, his mathematic equation here that he came up with that 10%. He's going to say this is somebody who spends a lot of time on Xbox Live, probably. So, yeah.
Yeah, but to be fair, you can say that about most posters that we read on this on this show. There's a lot of gamers and a lot of gamer moments that happen.
Lay epic gamer moment. Yes, sir. Oh, boy. Well, in a similar vein, Slapshot is one of the few Hollywood films that focuses specifically on hockey.
Yes.
Stars our friend of the show, Paul Newman, rest in peace, salad dressing entrepreneur.
Uh-huh.
It was released way back in 1977. Great year.
As I've same year Star Wars, famously.
Sure.
I've said, I don't know if I said it on this show, but I said it on Twitter that Paul Newman, in his prime, is the most attractive human being I've ever seen in my life.
Where he's walking around, just every photo of him is him with holding some alcoholic drink.
Absolutely.
Yeah. Oh, yeah, that's really good.
Never seen Slapshot myself. I've never really liked sports movies. If I can be so bold,
they can be bad. So.
And I really like sports, but I feel like sports movies are just sort of. It's always a little too. Like, most sports isn't dramatic, and yet sports movies are overly dramatic.
Yes, there's always some sort of life altering or affirming thing that happens with.
There's an alcoholic father in the wing, or there's stuff like that where it's like, I just want to see guys pass a pigskin back and forth. I don't want to know that, I don't want to know that the star quarterback was molested as a child. It's just don't care.
Show me Keanu Reeves playing football for 4 hours. I don't give a shit. Yeah,
it's one of my earliest dates was taking a gal to see. Was it The Replacements? Is that what that was?
Yes, sure. Boy, you've had some interesting date movies, my friend.
What year was it? Let me see. That was 2000. So 15 years old, as you can imagine, a 15-year-old version of me. and the kind of cool shit I was doing then. Ooh. That poor gal.
Really good.
That poor gal.
Speaking of the Slapshot film, I found a half-star Letterboxd review from a gal named Lindsay.
Great.
Rampant homophobia and littered with jokes that didn't age well, Slapshot was a big waste of my energy. It was the embodiment of toxic masculinity. I could not bother to care about any of the characters in this film, except for the Hanson brothers, who maybe got 2 laughs out of me. I understand it's a cult classic with memorable one-liners, but nonetheless, cult classics should be able to continue to entertain future generations of movie watchers. Think The Sandlot and The Rocky Horror Picture Show. This movie was just too degrading to be an enjoyable first-time watch for a woke kid in 2020.
Ooh.
Sorry, Dad. Her top 4 on Letterboxd are Harry Potter and the Deathly Hallows, 10 Things I Hate About You, The Sandlot, and Little Women. And she's also given negative reviews for Back to the Future and 4 of the 5 Pirates of the Caribbean films.
Wow. Which one stood out as a good one?
The first one, which I do agree with that. It's a fun flick.
Boy, I remember really hating all of those films, but I've only seen one of them, so maybe I don't know. Yeah, Slapshot was not made for women named Lindsay.
No, not a woke teen in the year 2020. No,
yeah,
sir.
that film was made before the name Lindsay was invented. They had no idea there'd be a world where Lindsays were around reviewing movies. She kind of sold me on it, though, I gotta say.
The rampant homophobia.
Oh, yeah.
The sexism, sure. Yeah.
Yeah. Now, I would say that comedies age way poorly than almost any other genre.
Oh, for sure.
Which is interesting.
Yeah. A lot of the jokes are of the time.
Yeah.
And there's been a couple comedy movies that I saw. A great example is the Norm Macdonald movie Dirty Work, that when I first saw it was the funniest fucking thing I'd ever seen in my life. Watched it, 10 years later, and I was like, wow, this really isn't that funny. And then watched it again recently, like within the last 6 months, and it's the funniest fucking thing I've ever. Yes. So it's like swings back and forth on just hitting that sweet spot. So it is one of those weird things.
That's how jokes work in general. First time you hear it, you're like, great. Second time, you're like, Then you keep hearing it, and you're like, all right, it just gets funnier and funnier. And especially Norm Macdonald, you need a little time to appreciate that he was very funny. And he stood out at the time as not being funny in a lot of cases because he was unusual. And then you realize that, it was him and like a bunch of Chris Kattan's.
Sure, yeah.
So he's actually very funny.
That was the ilk of movies at that point, yes.
In 2019, Jashvina Shah, a she-her, who is the, quote, co-author of Gay Misconduct, Hockey's Toxic Culture and How to Fix It, tweeted this out. It's 2019. If you don't believe hockey is racist, it's a big indication you aren't a real hockey fan. Because if you were a real hockey fan, you'd be paying close enough attention to know that. And then she added this fun little joke at the end. Thanks for coming to my TED Talk.
Oh, sure. Yeah.
I think that was a very clever way of ending a tweet.
Yeah.
The most common response to this was people saying, okay, which is great. But I did enjoy this one from user at Mileware1A, who just said, so what?
Yep.
And I should note that Mileware1A's display name is Nationalism is Patriotism, and they mostly retweet Pizzagate theories.
Still, okay.
In 2021, they're doing that.
This guy's going to get to the bottom of it one way or another. God bless him. I got to say, though, when in doubt, who care really is one of the best options you can just reply to anything with. because it is just so demoralizing. So this guy just saying, so what, probably stuck with this woman quite a bit.
I mean, I look at it as a guy who's just like openly racist. Like,
sure,
oh, the hockey NHL is racist, and he's like, yeah, okay, great. None of my business. And I appreciate that way more than someone who like
starts an argument of some sort.
He's like, oh, it's not racist, and here's the reasons why. This guy's like, yeah, it's racist, and I love it. Shut the fuck up. Who gives a shit?
I actually wanted to be more racist. I'd like it to be more racist.
And that's what this guy's doing. He's like, yeah, great. What's it to you?
Thanks for coming to my TED Talk.
Take the gloves off. Let's fight about it.
Looking at this woman, and she's probably, God, she's got to weigh less than 100 pounds.
Yeah. How does someone like this become a careerist hockey beat person?
She's a sports interviewer, so she's like the locker room interviewer for some different Canadian sports teams. It looks like. How you get into that, can't tell. But
how do you get into it, and then like also,
how do you feel so strongly about it?
Yeah, it's like okay, that's your job, great, but how do you care about it?
Mm-hmm. Yeah, here she is on some sort of talking head, CBC News, talking about, will hockey culture change? Prominent figures accused of verbal physical abuse. Yeah, sounds about right. Sounds like hockey. Fun. Well, we wish her the best. Her book has not been released yet. It won't be released until October 21st or 12th of this year. So unfortunately, I can't even read any bad reviews of it yet. So too bad.
She's a talking head. I'd like to see her be a talking head shot with her head blown off.
I'd just like to get some. Z Dunlop 24 posted, my experience with racism in hockey to our hockey players. I was born and raised in the U.S. and always try to be respectful of other people and keep the peace. Even though I can pass for white, my parents are of Middle Eastern descent. I first encountered racist behavior in hockey. It first started with being called a terrorist, along with being called a sand N-word and many other names. My teammates would often get into fistfights with me or leave me at school when they had offered me a ride to practice earlier. Even to this day, I become paranoid around hockey players my age and feel it's impossible to trust other hockey players even outside of the game. User Senfeng replied, I'm white as the driven snow, and I got bullied, called names, and beat on from time to time. This is happening a lot more than once or twice because I wasn't part of the in-crowd in school sports. Not everything is racist. A lot of people are just assholes in general. I play Call of Duty and sometimes get in lobbies where some nitwit kid gets hurt feelings and starts screaming the N-word at everyone.
Yeah, is that N-word nitwit?
That's right. No, he typed it out. He typed out the whole thing.
It'd be funny if he didn't, though. Some N asterisk I T W. Yeah.
So facing systematic racism in a sport is akin to getting called the N-word by an 11-year-old on Xbox Live. So,
yeah, it must be tough to be a white guy playing hockey.
A sport specifically made for you.
Yeah, I can't imagine. Like, the idea of a Muslim guy playing hockey is hilarious because it's so not close to anything we've ever seen before.
No.
So that guy's probably definitely had some horrifying things screamed at him.
For sure. Yeah.
But you know what? He should suck it up, Buttercup. Hey, speaking of, back in 2016, we lost Prince, that purple pop star from Minnesota, also known as a state where George Floyd died while resisting arrest from a well-meaning officer. The state has the Minnesota Wild, which is a hockey team that has basically never been good.
Yeah.
And after Prince's demise, the team released a video in dedication to Prince. And a gentleman named Trevor shared this video on Facebook. Again, this is what white supremacy looks like. They think this is an honor, and Prince's family is supposed to say, "Oh, thank you, master." When in reality, it's a ripoff and an insult. Hockey is a brutal, ugly game. We're all gonna die, so what's it all for? Line in, let's go crazy. We'll ask the families of dead hockey players. Should note this was all typed in caps, and I don't know what they're saying.
Yeah, hockey, that famous sport where people just drop dead every day.
Well, think of all the dead hockey players' families. Well, I mean, there are a lot of players of hockey who died, to be fair.
Sure.
So, now they may have been in their 80s or 90s when they died, but they still drew.
But still, they died.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, can't unpack that one. Very difficult for me. I think it's cool that the hockey team used their hometown boy to promote their thing, or not promote their thing, and give him a little shout out there after death. So great for them. Whole thing seems really intense, but what am I to say? Not a fan of. Don't know those guys. Don't know the Minnesota Wild. What a horrible name.
Yeah, what do you think about that? The idea of a name it's not like a mascot. It's just like it's not even pluralized. It's just the Wild.
Well, all hockey teams are kind of like that, though. Like
the Lightning, I guess. Yeah.
Well, but there's
pretty similar.
The Red Wings. There's the Flyers. It's just kind of like.
Well, those are all plural.
Oh, I guess that's true.
That's my point. It's like an abstract concept.
Yeah, they are abstract.
That's not even like Red Wings, whatever that is. You can at least say those are a thing, a group of things.
They're shoes, I think, if I remember correctly.
I know they are brand wise, certainly. But then you have we have the Seattle Kraken, which we'll talk about in a little bit.
Yeah, new guys on the block. Yeah,
real epic name for that one.
Yeah, real Reddit style. Yeah, for sure. Speaking of, someone went to Reddit to ask, "Am I the asshole for making a joke about how Canadians like hockey?" I was studying for midterms with 3 other people, a guy and 2 girls. The girls are both of African descent, and while the guy is Egyptian. Hockey is huge in Canada, and it was especially huge in the small town I grew up in. Somehow the topic of hockey came up, and I was talking about the season. But the people I were talking to said they didn't really watch hockey and preferred basketball, since it was just more entertaining. I'm not going to lie, I was a bit put off that they implied hockey was boring, but I just made a joke that, I guess you're not real Canadians yet. However, they didn't laugh and kind of just stared at me. One of the girls then said, "No wonder hockey is so white when people say shit like that." I realized that I kind of offended them and said it was just a joke. I didn't mean anything by it. My friend then tried to change the subject. Later, my friend said that the 2 thought I was an asshole for what I said, but it wasn't just literally a joke since hockey is considered Canada's sport. I wasn't actually saying they weren't really Canadian. And Caroline Mathildes replied, "With immigrants being called you people these days, it's a really touchy subject. But any day, it's never really a good idea to make fun of people for not being Canadian enough. They probably hear it all the time. There is no difference to them between your joke and the people who actually mean it." And in the end, OP was voted as being the asshole.
This is one of the more innocuous jokes I've heard from someone on this. It should be pretty obvious what the guy meant.
Something tells me, though, that
there's some context missing here.
Yeah, something tells me the guy's probably not well liked to begin with. So any chance to dig at this guy, somebody's going to take it. So anything that's like that.
Yeah, or he's got some autism bent to him. And he
yeah.
No, you guys are Canadian. You guys are real Canadians. Screamed it, and they're like, ugh.
Oh, God. Oh, Christ.
Just you can just hear the stench coming out of his armpits from not showering in 6 days, and just
here we go again. Okay.
We've all known those guys
Jeremy.
That are
okay.
They joke, but they're just so annoying that you're like, Please just talk normal.
We call those folks neurodivergent. There's a name for them now.
The N-word is what we call them, you're right.
Okay.
Hey, speaking of that, last year, the NHL announced the formation of the Kenya Ice Lions, the first NHL-aligned professional team in Kenya, which from what I understand is a city in the country of Africa. Well, this news was shared over on Reddit, and a gentleman responded with LOL. And another person responded, "Why, might I ask, is this funny to you? Hockey quite literally needs this sort of interest in development in countries that currently don't play hockey to grow the sport. I, for one, cannot wait to see the first Japanese, Kenyan, or Indian step onto an NHL slate of ice." The OP responded, "Why does it need to be bigger? Why do we need more people to enjoy it? That would just degrade the hobby. You don't know how that happens, right? More casuals equals more dumbing things down equals more money equals more commercials."
Well, yeah.
Hard to find fault in that.
Hard to find fault. This is also one of those classic examples of, God forbid anyone become interested in the thing that I like outside of the people that I'm comfortable with liking it. Which, to an extent, I can understand that line of thought.
Yeah, but it's with a sport that literally
has almost
hundreds
zero.
of millions of people like.
Yeah.
This isn't your weird curling league. This is a big fucking thing.
And even then, the people that, I don't know. That's a tough thing to unpack.
I'm gonna guess this guy probably didn't complain about the Seattle Kraken like a new team in the league. He was probably a little more concerned about Kenya getting a hockey team.
Yes.
More than Seattle.
Yeah.
Would be my guess.
That's his, yeah, I guess what you're saying. Yeah.
And he's right.
That would be
That's
a good Disney Plus movie, huh? A bunch of Kenyan guys learning how to skate. Mm-hmm. Where's John Candy when you need him? R.I.P. We could have had a real good coach.
A corpse. He died from being a big fatso.
Which we've covered multiple times on this show.
Big fat guy with the last name Candy died from being fat. That's great.
The jokes write themselves, folks.
Mm-hmm.
Oh, God. WABX Bedwetter started the thread Hockey over on adisc.org, the site for adult babies and diaper lovers. Went to Wings game last night with my autistic son. First time, was very cool. Great seat, didn't have to do the stairs. Yes, I was diapered and used them there. Son had this on his bucket list. Have a great friend that gave me tickets and a pass for parking. Didn't spend a dime. Go Detroit.
Great.
User Dogboy replied, "That's awesome that you were able to do that with your son. Both of my adult sons have become big hockey fans. I've had dinner with them and then we've watched a hockey game on TV, so I'm getting a little into it. In addition to all that, I'm glad your diaper didn't leak. I hate using public restrooms, so I'd be tempted to diaper up as well."
Haven't heard from my diaper friends in a few episodes. Good to see how they're doing.
Yep.
So what did the son have on his bucket list? It was sitting in an arena next to his dad taking a shit in his pants. Was that on his bucket list? He didn't really specify.
No, I think it probably was going to the hockey game.
Before I die, I want to share an armrest with my old man as he piddles himself in public. What? Then I'll die happy.
Man.
Yeah. That's
Do you think
great.
the autistic son knows that his dad was all strapped up down there?
Do you think the autistic son is more autistic than the dad? Is the question. There's good strain of
battle
autism
of
here.
the brawn there, yeah.
Yeah. The family crest is a Funko Pop.
That is such a funny idea.
On January 5th, 2019, the Philadelphia Flyers went into overtime in a game with the Calgary Flames. Pretty typical in hockey, of course. What made this game interesting was that the Flyers tweeted this out. Overtime is underway at Wells Fargo Center. Let's grab that second point. And then they attached an image with this on it. Overtime challenge. A win in sudden death for the Flyers means an automated external defibrillator will go to the St. Monica Catholic School here in Philadelphia. And the next tweet just a few minutes later. Brody scores for Calgary in overtime. Final Calgary 3, Philadelphia 2. So, sorry kids, but you do not get a defibrillator for your school. Because the Flyers couldn't pull it out.
Oh my god. Who the fuck came up with that one? Jesus Christ. Honest. Oh my god.
And they never addressed it again after that.
Oh, yeah. No, the intern that had that brilliant idea was thrown underneath the Zamboni. Immediately after the game, just turned into gelatin.
Mm-hmm.
Oh my, that's bad. That's embarrassing.
That's right. And we enjoy it. We appreciate it.
Yeah, thanks for the post.
They're dumb shit. A lot of the responses to that were like, "R.I.P. kids" and stuff like that. It's pretty good.
Sure, why wouldn't it be? Absolutely.
Yeah.
Great.